I'm sorry, boys. I had no clothes today.
Well, you were just walking around town naked, or what?
Man, I got to the airport yesterday with 42 minutes to the flight. You got to be there 45 minutes before you leave, or they don't let you check a bag. So I had my wife swing back around and take my bag, so I had to go find some clothes this morning.
Nice.
I had nothing but the clothes on my back.
Crazy. Well, we're here to talk about the Ultimate Fighter, man.
Nordstrom Rack was on call for me this morning.
We saw you before you started taping the Ultimate Fighter. Now it's in the books. Give us an idea. I mean, what was the experience like for you? Did it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, it was cool. You know, it's the third time I've been there. I went with Kane. I went with Koscheck. But this is the first time I had my own team. It was great. You know, these young men are so talented. They have so many good guys. It's all undefeated fighters, and it showed in the product. They could all fight. Great season.
Like you said, you're familiar with the Ultimate Fighter. Was the vibe different? I mean, having a whole group of undefeated guys, you got to think there's no pretenders in there, right? Like, everybody thinks they're the real deal. So was it a different vibe at all?
So the difference is getting these guys to believe, right? Because everything they've done to this point has worked. So they have to be open to taking advice, learning, and I believe that because it was Stipe and I, guys that have achieved so much at the highest level, they were able to open themselves up and take it for what it is. Lesser guys may not have had the effect on these young men as we had, and they respect us for our accomplishments, and it made it easy to teach the guys.
You've always been a team guy, I mean, your whole life, right? But I mean, these guys aren't really your guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they may face your friends later on down the road or whatever, right? So, I mean, are you able to buy in and really make them your guys while you're there?
You know, we go in as, when you go into the Ultimate Fighter, I'm a firm believer that the story should be about the guys, right? The dudes that are fighting. It shouldn't be about the two coaches fighting and arguing and bickering. It's about those guys. It's their journey, and you go to take a part in it. And I believe that we did a good job of doing that. You don't worry about what happens in the future, because for Khabib Nurmagomedov, it's like he's a champion. These men are good fighters, but they are years away from competing for a lightweight championship. When the time comes that one of those guys fight Khabib, I'd be great for them, but I'm not sure how much success they would have. But, you know, we would try to help them as we can. They're all great young men, and I had a good time.
Despite it not being about coaching rivalry, I mean, you did get to spend some time around Stipe. Did you?
Yeah.
Did you start playing any mind games or you know, try to read him at all? I mean, did you think about your fight at all?
Not really that much. You know, I was doing more coaching. I coach. You know, that's what I do. I actually coach. So I tried to go into it with that idea that I was going to coach these guys. A couple little jabs at Stipe here and there, but nothing too big. You're not going to break Stipe Miocic. You're not going to get into his mind. You know, look at him. You know, this dude's not. You're not going to play mind games with Stipe. He knows that he's a big, bad boy. And to beat him, you got to be bigger and badder and tougher. So I can tell him I'm going to kick his ass all day. It ain't going to make a difference until we get in the octagon and I can prove it to him. So I didn't want to waste the energy trying to play mind games with Stipe. It's a big difference, man. Some guys you can do that with. I can do that with guys like, guys like Volkan or other guys that I have fought in my career. But this dude, he's not having any of it.
You were kind of a internet meme this past week with your reaction at the press conference. Give me an idea. Chills. I was going to say, I mean, how much credence? I mean, had you thought about that beforehand? And are you thinking about now the seed's been planted? Brock Lesnar.
I got a big fight. I mean, that thing never happens unless I get past Stipe. So, but just hearing it out loud was like, oh my goodness. You know, like, hey, I know that when I fight Jon Jones, I make a lot of money. I know that if I was to ever fight a Brock Lesnar, I'm going to make even more money than I've ever made in my entire life. And ultimately, championships and money is why we do this. You know, I don't care for all the other stuff. I want to get paid. I'm almost 40. The door's about to close on me, so why not ride out into the sunset with a massive payday? Truckloads of money. Back up the Brinks truck to Gilroy, California if you fight Brock Lesnar, I'm telling you. He told me last time, right? When that thing broke that he was fighting at UFC 200, I said, Big Brock, is it Christmas morning? In the Cormier household, he goes, Merry Christmas, DC, you're welcome. That's what he told me. He knows that the money's coming when he's on your card or if you're fighting against him. He knows that you're getting paid.
Does that almost make this more special, knowing that might be possible? I mean, the history that you would set here, the 2 belts, I mean, that would be impressive enough. But
that would be the most big. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Right? Ultimately, ultimately, I'm a competitor, and I'm about accomplishments, achievements, and being remembered. You know, like the curtain's coming down on me. You know, so all this and all the stuff that I do all the time, that's all going to be gone. You know, all they're going to be left are the memories of what I did. And if I can accomplish this thing on July 7th, those memories will last for a real long time. So ultimately, that's the goal. Everything else will be fun.
Do you see a scenario where you might not go back to light heavyweight?
No, I'm going to go back. There are fights down there for me. And I would hope that Kane would come back and fight heavyweight and become the champ again.
You would step aside?
I would. Again.
You said you didn't have a lot of time left.
Again, I would do it again.
You just give away the belt? I mean, if you were a double champion,
I'm not fighting Cain Velasquez. I would never, ever fight Cain Velasquez. No, I would never do it. So, yeah, if it meant giving up the belt, that's what I would do.
What has that return to heavyweight been like? Like, have you had to sort of manage, like, let's not get too crazy with
I've gotten crazy. I've gotten crazy, I tell you that much. Sometimes I'm like, man, I got to do something. I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, Selena. She goes, it's all the rice, because, you know, I love rice. I'm from Louisiana, and I'm like, I don't have to limit the amount of rice I eat now. I'm just eating all kinds of rice every day, every meal. And she's like, it's all the rice that's making you feel like this. And I'm like, maybe I'll lay off the rice. But I'm like, I'm really not going to lay off the rice. I just got to, when I get in the fight camp, then the diet changes a little bit. There's only one guy that eats more rice than me, and he's Max Holloway. That boy can put down some rice. He came to the Ultimate Fighter with my team. And I tell you, Max Holloway eats some rice.
You touched on training camp. I mean, when does real training camp start? Because you're so far out right now. I got to think part of you wants to start getting ready, but you got to be careful, right?
I have to peel myself back, right? I used to do that a lot, where I would do 12, 13 weeks of hard training, and 3 weeks before the fight, I was done. I was like, okay, can I fight today? Because I don't know if I can get through another month of going in 3-4 days a week, 3-4 times a day. Right now, it's 12 weeks from the fight this weekend. So in 2 weeks, I will start my pre-camp, 2-week pre-camp, 8-week training camp before the fight. So I just know that I've got to be in phenomenal shape. I know that I'm confident, and I'm not doing this for nothing. If I didn't think I could beat Stipe Miocic, I wouldn't fight him. And I like the matchup. I really, really like the matchup. I know people may think, oh, he's crazy. You know, he's the best heavyweight of all time. Yeah, but he's not just this massive guy. He's fast at heavyweight. But just because he's fast at heavyweight doesn't mean he'll be fast to me. The reason I was so successful at heavyweight because I was fast, right? So now he's going to be fighting a guy that's as fast as him. And I love Stipe Miocic. I think he's a fantastic fighter. He's a great champion, great man. But, you know, he has lost to Stefan Struve. And if Stefan Struve can get a victory, why can't I?
You say you like the matchup. Is it just the size, or are there other elements?
There are a lot of elements to the fight, right? He does what I do. You know, he does what I do. He boxes and he wrestles, for the most part. Occasionally we'll kick, but we ain't out there throwing 20, 30 kicks a fight, you know? That excites me more than anything.
Would you postpone retirement if a matchup with Brock Lesnar was really fast for you?
No, I'm done. The curtain's coming down. When I'm 40, I'm done. I know it's hard to think that, wow, you know, I'm still fighting at a high level, you know, and I feel good. I feel like I can train and fight for a long time, but there's no need to. Man, you got to preserve what you've accomplished. And I think, you know, some of my friends, my best friends, are now fighting in spots that we never imagined we could see them in. And I don't like that. Like, I don't want to be that. You know, I don't want to be fighting in, you know, I fought in only like main events and co-main events in my entire UFC career. I don't want to have to go to fighting on the prelims or stuff like that, you know? I like the big spot. I've been in some of the biggest fights in the UFC, man. I fought those Jones fights. By the time we get in that octagon, it feels like the roof is going to fly off the building. UFC 200. Crazy. Fighting Anderson Silva. That fight in Houston was insane. UFC 187, where everybody just got demolished. The energy was just insane. But if I fought on the prelims, by the time that main card started and Travis Brown and Arlovsky hit the octagon and Weidman did what he did to Belfort, I would have never got to experience it because I would have already been done. It just have always built to me. And I don't want to ever experience the other side of it. I want to preserve what I've done in this 10 years that I've been in fighting. And that means that I've got to be done by next year.
But if you defeat Stipe and you get the Brock fight, is there really room for another
No, then there wouldn't be another time. I mean, I would have to do it way too fast, right? Brock would still have to go back into the testing pool, though. So while he's going through that 6-month testing thing, maybe I can squeeze in a light heavyweight fight and then get back to him. Hey, I can fight in March. If there's a fight March 2nd of 2019, I can fight. Long as it ain't past March 20th of 2019, I can fight.
What's the light heavyweight fight you want?
I don't think people have to really ask. There's not a... I want to fight Jon Jones. I do. You know, I still feel I can win. I know that I've lost twice, and last fight I got kicked in the head, but I feel like we were having a good fight. And I feel like every fight's been good. And I feel like if we fought a third time, it'd be even better. So I want to fight Jon Jones. That'll never change.
What makes you change? Because you were mentioning that you thought that chapter was closed.
I thought it was closed, but you asked me what I want. Is that a possibility? I'm not sure. But as a competitor, it's what I want. You know? You don't always get what you want, though. But I feel like if we did have an opportunity to fight again, it'll be a good fight. But that's what I want. If not, then I'll fight whoever. I mean, that's what I've always done, right? I defended the belt against Volkan Ozdemir. You know, not many people would say, I don't know this guy, I'm going to fight him. He was the next guy, so I fought him. They told me to fight Alexander Gustafsson after he had just got knocked out. I said, okay, if that's the guy you say to fight, that's who I'll fight. So I want to go down and defend this belt one more time. Then that'll be like 4 title defenses before I ride off in the sunset. That's a pretty good little title reign I've got going. Hell, it's coming up on 3 years now, you know, so it's been a long time.
What do you think you brought to the Ultimate Fighter that you're proud of?
I think people will get to see more of me. You know, I don't know if... We all have different sides to us. You know, it's like no guy is just one exact way all the time. And I think over the course of 5 weeks, you get to just see me more and see more of who Daniel Cormier is, not only as a fighter, but also as a coach and a person that cares about the people that he's around. You know, I care about these guys, and I think me and my coaches showed that. We showed that we were there for them, and I felt like we gave them the best opportunity to be successful.
Now, you didn't have to live in the house with the guys, did you?
No, I didn't. We stayed in the, we had a house, we had our own house on the outskirts of town that we stayed in. That was also fun, you know, because you find out some things about people. I found out that Cain Velasquez makes his corn. That may be the best thing I've ever tasted in my life. Cain can really cook, man. Every morning we'd get up and we'd have breakfast, and then by the time practice was over at night, we'd hit the kitchen. One guy hit the steaks. Somebody had to make rice because, again, I love rice. Cain's like making corn. He's like standing there, like Cain Velasquez is standing there in the kitchen chopping up onions and peppers, and he's like putting it on the corn and it's cheese, and then they go in the oven and on the grill, and it's like melted cheese all over the corn, but under the cheese is like jalapenos. It was like the greatest thing I've ever tasted. So it was like I got to learn a lot about my guys, you know, like we had fun, man. We had fun. We had a good time.
How close is he to fighting, would you say?
I think he's getting pretty close. I want to see him fight. I think he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. I want to see him fight. I'd hope to see him fight on July 7th with me. That would be good.
What did you think of WrestleMania?
I thought WrestleMania was awesome. I thought Ronda blew the roof off that place. The WWE did a great job of highlighting all of her strengths, right? They put her in spots where she could look like a rock star, and she did. I thought it was tremendous. I thought the Undertaker Cena deal was a little weird. It was like you just squashed him like that, you know, like Undertaker just kind of squashed him, huh?
Sets up next year.
Maybe. You know, Undertaker doesn't move very well anymore. It's like watching that Andre the Giant thing, right? At the end, Andre was like holding onto the rope and shit, like barely could get up. It's almost like the Undertaker doesn't move very well. Like when he did the whole rope walk, it was like 1 step, 2 step, jump off before you fall off this shit. You know, it was like, let me hurry up and complete the move. So it was like, I don't really need to see the Undertaker squashing people anymore. AJ Styles Shinsuke Nakamura was okay. I thought it would have been a little bit better. The main event was good. I like the way Brock put it on these dudes. Brock should always put it on these dudes, though. Brock shouldn't lose to these dudes at all, like ever. He should just smash on everybody. But, you know, Roman Reigns is a tough guy. I like all those guys.